Thanks, Chairman Booker. Here in the Judiciary Committee, we can see how things have changed on this issue because you can go to college, you can go to law school, you can pass the bar exam, and after you've done all that, you can smoke pot. And as long as you did it 5 years before you turn up here, you can be nominated to be a federal judge. So clearly things are moving. In May, Rhode Island legalized, regulated, and taxed marijuana use. And one of the concerns in the legislative discussion at the Rhode Island General Assembly on the way to that was the concern of our police chiefs regarding cannabis-impaired driving. And I'm interested in a couple of questions about that. I think probably Chief Jackson, you'd be the first person I'd ask. One is, it appears fairly difficult to detect compared to an alcohol sample. There isn't a lot of technology in place to do that. The second is, because it's difficult to detect, the quality of the data about the incidence of driving while cannabis impaired is not so great. Very often somebody who's doubly impaired, they've been drinking and they've been smoking or consuming cannabis, what they'll test for is the alcohol because that's what you can test for, so you get a false negative as to the degree of cannabis intoxication. There is drug recognition expertise, training that can be given that preliminary indications show can be useful in helping a police officer identify that. But those of us who've been in the business know that if you actually have to go in and testify and be cross-examined on your drug recognition expertise and all of that, it's a lot more difficult to process than to have received a particularly high blood alcohol level that is pretty well-established technology. So what is your reaction to the drug-impaired driving aspect of all of this? You must see it in your regular life. What do we need to do to solve that problem as marijuana use becomes more widespread and more legal?
And you're absolutely right, Senator Whitehouse. We were having this discussion on the way down here. With alcohol, you can measure it through blood, the BAC, your blood alcohol content. Like most states, 0.08 is the threshold that would establish probable cause for arrest. But marijuana is different. And I do support, as a part of the regulation, that people not drive impaired for marijuana. What I suggest is that with the help of the federal government, that we develop better training for local law enforcement. Because you're absolutely right. Most instances when we suspect individuals are being impaired through marijuana use, we give them a field sobriety test, a physical test, which is not very reliable. Most of the cases we lose in court, especially if we find no alcohol in their bloodstream. We just lose the case in court because the training and the testing hasn't been able to withstand legal scrutiny. So
the field sobriety test.
The field sobriety test. Right, we have them stand on one foot and put their hands over their head and turn around and dance or do whatever we do. And then if it's not to our satisfactory, we make the capricious judgment that this person is driving impaired, which is not dependable. So we end up losing those cases. If marijuana was legalized, I'm in full support of not getting behind the wheel of a 3,000-pound vehicle and operate and hold them, just like we hold them accountable with alcohol. But we need better testing. We need more research and better testing to measure a person who's impaired by the use of cannabis.
Understood. Thank you, Chief. Thanks, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Senator Whitehouse. Senator Klobuchar.